Well, this is something interesting. How would you like to be fighting for your opportunity to run against the wealthiest elected official in North America? That's who our guest is this morning, the guy who wants to take on Goliath, Ted Dabrowski, Republican candidate for governor in the state of Illinois. Ted, it's good to see you, buddy.
Tom, great to see you. Thank you.
Ted and I did the radio program for years when the Illinois Policy Institute, Wirepoints, he was there. Ted and I have known, he's always been a numbers guy to me, but he's a great deal more, and this is an opportunity for us to share that today. So let's pick this up right now. What's wrong with you? You decided you want to fight.
Exactly.
Spend a lot of your own money. I've looked at your campaign filings. So you can take on the wealthiest politician in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but this is an amazing state. We should be a top 5 state in this country. We should be leading the country in job creation and in wage growth and in population, economic growth. And we're not. We're a bottom 5 state. And we can't just sit here and watch that happen. We've got to take back this state and make it the amazing state that it should be.
All right, bottom 5. Here, we're actually number one in the national ranking for the highest combined state and local taxes. At this point, approximately 16.5% of annual income goes to taxes. Nation second highest taxes, property taxes.
Well, we're now first, according to Tax Federation. So,
yay.
Yeah.
I was talking to my mom the other day about you, actually, in the governor's race. And I said, Mom, what has the government done for you this past year that makes things better? The gas price, gasoline's going down. But I know that didn't have anything to do with governor. So here's the thing on the gas taxes. When I was looking this up, 48.6 or 48.3 cents per gallon of taxes. So when the governor says, I can't control gas prices, it's not exactly.
No, we were in the middle of the country in terms of gas taxes before Pritzker took over. Then what he did is he did 2 things that are wrong. One he doubled the motor fuel tax, which pushed us all the way to number 2 in gas taxes in the country. But then he did something, which he keeps blaming inflation for things. He pegged the price of gas taxes, to inflation. So every year those gas taxes go up now. Not only that, we have a sales tax on our gas tax. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I looked up the legality of that. Apparently we're wrong when we say that's double taxation. The courts have ruled against it. And I went and looked that up, and I'm still thinking, I don't care what the courts say. I think it's wrong.
We got a tax and sales taxes on top of that. So it's crazy.
All right. So what are the challenges in the primaries? You've got 3 challengers right now in the primary.
Mm-hmm.
So in this context right now, the primary context, what's the message? What's the fight?
So the big message is, as we go along, I'm the only candidate that's building the full coalition necessary to beat Governor Pritzker. So if you look at financing, which is key, right? You have to have money against Pritzker. You have to be able to raise money. And I've been able to raise money in Chicago amongst some of the wealthiest people there, people who can make a difference in funding. I've raised money downstate. One of the major donors for Darren Bailey is now with me. And I've raised money from Dick Uline. Dick Uline gave $50 million to Darren Bailey last time. He's now on our camp. He's giving money to us. So that's the base needed to build a campaign. Now I'm starting to get a lot of the endorsements from various leaders in the state. I just got the endorsement to the Peoria County Republicans. I won. That's a 2/3 requirement. Got that. Wheeling Township up in the northwest suburbs. Got 97% of the votes of the precinct captains there. That's the kind of stuff we're building. And then on top of that, I got the grassroots from all my time at IPI, Illinois Policy Institute, my time at Wirepoints. So when you put all that together, I'm the only one that's got that. And I did 15 years of policy work. You put all those things together, I'm the candidate.
Your financial work in particular, I think, is because, as I said earlier at the beginning, I always thought you were a numbers guy. I always relied on that to you because the numbers tell you what's going on. You're a numbers guy, but as governor, you've got to spread out and build that coalition you're talking about.
I've been doing Doge before Doge was popular.
And I thought about this. Does Illinois need a good Doging?
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about the highest property taxes in the country, the second highest gas taxes, the highest cell phone tax in the country, and now with that bailout of CTA, where they took Central and Southern Illinois money, road fund money, and gave it to the Transit Authority in Chicago.
And changed the formula.
Now Chicagoans pay the high sales taxes in the country. It's an absolute mess. And we're taking billions more from people and spending it. And you know what? Every year they still have massive deficits at Chicago.
See, now that's interesting.
At the state level,
20 cents of every dollar Fair, right? 20 cents of every dollar for our debt and all the things that go on, and we still don't fix these things. And those are huge numbers. We've stopped talking about pensions.
Yeah, we don't even talk about pensions. And the reason why, and that's a whole nother discussion, is all that bailout money during COVID that came from the federal government papered over the problems for now. But they're starting to come back. The pension crisis is coming back.
Yes, we had no choice. The number's too big to ignore it because the markets don't ignore it.
Well, and companies who invest don't ignore it. They say, why am I going to invest in Illinois when they're going to come after me with taxes forever?
All right, spend. We spend, and we spend more, okay? Fiscal year 26 spent $55.2 billion. FY 2027, and currently there looks like a projected, I should say, $2.2 billion shortcoming in the upcoming fiscal year, and we haven't even hit the books yet.
No. Yeah, so here we come. There's going to be another set of tax hikes. Every year there's corporate tax hikes or all these other kind of taxes. You know, the big thing we've been doing lately to balance the budget are all these sin taxes, right? We're going to casinos, marijuana, right? We keep going after alcohol.
Well, hell, let's go after the pensions.
Well, we keep
Let's
taxing.
go after retirements.
Well, the thing is, we're building, you know, with all these sin taxes and trying to balance our budget that way, we are balancing our budget on the backs of working classes. You know, hey, go gamble more, right? Hey, go smoke more marijuana so we can have more tax revenues. It's upside down.
You know, here's the thing, Ted.
Sorry, Tom. We should be building an economy based on real value.
Because I want to spend some time talking about the economic development and drawing people to this. But here's the problem that what do I see? Well, this is expensive or that's expensive. I've got the solution. Government comes up. We've got the solution. We'll just charge more.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it. Well, you know the answer to it being too expensive is for it to cost more.
Right.
We did it with health insurance.
Right.
So we can't trust anybody to do this. It's one of the most frustrating things for me as a taxpayer going, don't you see it's going to cost us more? And you're saying, well, we're going to fix this problem by charging you even more. Oh, well, please don't help me anymore.
Right. I don't need your help by making it more expensive, right? And we see what happens. And this is, we all, on our side, on the Republican side, we're all talking about this. We're losing people. We're losing businesses. When under Governor Pritzker, think about it. This is an amazing, amazing state. It's a powerhouse state. We're the 6th largest state in the country. We have our history.
Manufacturing, highways,
the
railroads.
Middle of the country, everything. We have
the rivers.
Yeah, the rivers. We have everything that we need to be a top 5 state. Some could argue we could even be the top state. We have everything, and yet we're bottom 5 state. I went through some of those stats. But if you look at the number one stat that maybe tells you everything is people leaving, right? And that's the measure. Are people coming here or are they leaving?
The last number I think I saw that was reliable was 56.6 or something like that in 1 year.
What's that? Oh, the
23 to 24.
Well, it's been more than that, but
yeah.
But I tell you, so we've lost when you count the number of people moving into Illinois and the number of people moving out. The net says 2000, right? Turn of the century. We've lost 1.6 million people. If we had held flat on net migration, we would have 1.6 million people more. Think about the tax revenues that throw off more, the entrepreneurship, the philanthropy, all that stuff, and it's gone. And that's But here's the main point I wanted to make on this. Under Pritzker, you lose Caterpillar headquarters, you lose Boeing headquarters, you lose Citadel, Ken Griffin and his billions.
So I was thinking when you
Tyson Foods, Morton Salt. I mean, look at.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
How bad does Chicago have to be when Gary, Indiana starts to look good? Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears. Yeah.
Let's. Have you ever heard the sentence anywhere in your time in your life? Let's move to Gary.
Right. I mean, when I first got here, when I came back to Illinois 18 years ago, nobody would say they'd move to Indiana. Now people go over the border. They're in Southern Illinois or they're in Danville, 3 miles away. They say opportunities are better. Taxes are lower. I get much more house when I buy something. They have school choice. It's not corrupt. We can't be that state, Tom. We got to get back to normal. Just get back to being a good old Midwestern state with your Midwestern values.
I was saying the same thing. California.
Where did that go?
California, the Midwest.
Right.
All right. So let's talk about some new other items here that are really important to most people. It's a national debate, and it is a face-off in Illinois. The cost of illegal immigration. How much has J.B. Pritzker spent on illegal immigrants and their health care in Illinois?
Yeah,
So
I've been through the data, went into the data with my team, of course, and we pulled it out. We have spent on healthcare alone, on the illegal immigrants, largely the asylees, but some more, $2 billion on healthcare in the last, whatever that is, 2.5 years, 3 years. $2 billion. That is, I'm not talking about free housing. I'm not talking about free food. I'm not talking about the schools, just healthcare, $2 billion. And that's money that could have either been directed at Illinois residents, right? Illinois is first. It could have been to lower taxes. It could have been to improve many things. It could have been to hire more cops. And yet, it's gone.
What's going to happen between Donald Trump and J.B. Pritzker on the sanctuary status?
Well,
That issue that the president says, I'm not sending any more money to the sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. Now, J.B. Pritzker will tell me, as I've discussed in this show before, we're not a sanctuary state. But he does say Chicago is a sanctuary city.
we have created this mess, right? We're the extreme outliers. Again, let me explain similar thing. In Florida, in Tennessee, in Indiana, I'm giving you 3 examples. Their laws there are, they require their local enforcement to work with federal authorities. So when there's a criminal in jail, an illegal criminal criminal in jail, local authorities hand over the bad guy to the federal authorities directly. Case closed. You don't need ICE to go chase somebody, right? That's the same thing in Tennessee and in Indiana. In Illinois, we're the exact opposite. Our laws prohibit local law enforcement from working with federal authorities. So what's happening is the bad guys are going out into the streets because Pritzker and then the team are releasing them. And then it forces ICE to go get them. So that creates the chaos. But it's worse than that. And I think this is what's disqualifying for Pritzker. Not only does he support that law of not working with federal authorities, he calls our federal law enforcement, he calls them jackbooted thugs, he calls them terrorists, he calls them racists, he calls them all kinds of names. And that foments people to go out and attack ICE. And that's creating even more chaos.
And I think there's another aspect too, Ted.
End it.
Get rid of sanctuary state. If you're a criminal and you go, that's all, you're going to let me back out, I can do more crime, man.
So it's not only a sanctuary for illegal immigrants who are maybe peaceful people, but illegally here. It's a sanctuary for criminals because they know that they're not going to get turned over to the federal authorities.
But you know, the governor said this too, that he's not against criminals being apprehended.
Well, he's setting different kinds of rules, right? You know, he's talking about those with, well, it's more detail, but if he were serious, he would just turn over those criminals directly.
Right, and some counties have now in Illinois, according to recent news stories. All right, so the cost of illegal immigration, $2 billion, $3 billion.
That's just healthcare. Oh no, you're going to be closer to 4 and 5. There's other estimates that have it as high as $6 billion. You
know, it's interesting. I'm reading, newspaper articles, whatever it is I'm reading at the time, and there's the scrolling, and here's a story about J.B. Pritzker signs $300 million for welcoming centers. And I'm saying, hey, there's $3 million for small business, $300 million for welcoming centers, $3 million for small business. Mm-hmm. And that shows that level of inequity. But, we've got these welcoming centers here too.
Yeah, that has to be just undone, removed from the budget line.
Fundamentally, the inability to apprehend a criminal at a hospital, a court, a school, or a daycare. I can be arrested in court and handcuffed and let out. So I'm pretty sure I know how that works out for me. And that was a parking ticket, right? So this duality of non-citizenship, and this is, to me, from a constitutional moral concept, is just wrong.
Yeah, it's just wrong. I mean, again, we're providing sanctuaries for criminals, right? Say, hey, if you're a criminal, go hide over here. They can't get you. Why are we defending criminals? And and here's the question for you:
courthouses.
Yeah, courthouses. So here's the question: If the ICE can't go get the bad guys, and if local authorities are letting them free, right, after they've served the time, who's going to go get those criminals, right? And we're talking about dangerous people, right? Murderers, pedophiles, robbers. Who's going to go get them? And why is it that they are protected on the streets, or why are they immune? And now they can go to different places like the courthouse and be safe.
Yeah, so the judge thought, and see, the judge learned a lesson in another state. I'll sneak you out the back door. I've never had a judge offer to sneak me out the back door in my life, and I've met a few judges, professionally,
right,
over my time. So sanctuary status, the money spent, illegal immigration, a national showdown, and because it leads us into the next thing. Crime itself rates very highly in polls of what people are concerned about, and talking about when it comes to this gubernatorial election. Well, so far, our ability to fight crime in Illinois has been, well, here's the idea. We'll just decriminalize it. We'll decriminalize crime, and we don't have any crime anymore.
Yeah, decriminalize it, remove it from your record, whatever it is, and we move on. No, it's horrific.
You were in banking. How many years you were in banking?
About 18 or something like that.
Do kind of a background check on people when they're handling other people's money, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine that person's expertise and past is hidden from you, and then they commit a crime at your bank because you hired them because you didn't know.
Right.
See, or maybe it's a daycare center.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a school.
Mm-hmm.
I can go on and on. But when you look at this of saying, well, we're going to seal these records, because I'm not against having somebody get a second chance. Second chance are inherently American in my mind.
Well, yeah.
But there are some people that you go, wait a second, the guy robbed a bank with a gun and you're going to hide that? I mean, maybe that's covered, but this is another one of those things, as a person who for many years has been responsible for hiring staff that work intimately with other, right?
Yeah, right.
They're part of your family.
I want to know, if I meet somebody across from me who did something wrong, I want to know that they understood what they did wrong, that they're sorry for it, that they've changed, right? And that's an honest discussion. I like that person.
But hiding it?
I like the person who can admit they did something wrong and now are better people for it. But yeah, if they're hiding it, how do I know who they are?
Right. So crime, Chicago.
So Safety Act has to go, right?
Safety Act.
And we don't need to tweak it like they're saying. It needs to be eliminated. If there's anything good in it, let's bring it back up.
Chicago, number 2 in murder, 13 years in a row.
Well, number 1 in murders. Number 1.
It all depends on whose numbers you read.
No,
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
No, it's number 1 by far every year, 14 years in a row now because of last year. So, we're celebrating, this is an important thing. We're celebrating that we've gone from 800 murders, whatever it was, 3 years ago, to 400. That's a big deal. That's a 400 murder drop. But we should not be celebrating anything because we're at 400 murders. That's the most in the country. And we're talking about people's lives. And most of them, 90%, 95% are Black or Hispanic. So while we were just talking about protecting the criminals, we ignore the victims. And if they really care about equity and if they really care about minorities, we should be really obsessed about the victims.
And now I'll tell you what, the victims, when somebody, this is something that I've gotten through age, and I've had people that died, murder, suicide. If somebody's murdered and what's left behind their families, I have a new level of appreciation of the decades of devastation that delivers to that family after that act, and the grief and the suffering that goes on. I don't know why maybe in the past I didn't have a better appreciation for the people who are left behind. All right, so let's talk about this crime in Chicago just a bit, and J.B. Pritzker.
Yeah, so, Trump, what I like is something he said. He says, I want safe cities. And it struck me when he said that, because we talk about lower crime. Less crime is not good. I mean, less crime is good, but that's not the goal. The goal should be safe cities. And so you look at New York City's murder rate, and I want to compare Chicago's murder rate to New York City's. Ours is 4.2 times higher than New York City's. If we had the same murder rate as New York City, guess how many murders we would have had last year? 99.
Wow.
That's how low their murder rate is. So we have a long way to go. So before we celebrate 400, we should be catching up in New York City, get to 99. Then we can jump up and down. And that's still 100 murders.
Do you see J.B. Pritzker sign the Grid Reliability Act?
Yeah. I mean,
remember earlier in the interview I was saying, the answer to making that things are too expensive is to make them cost more.
Right.
There you have it. And they're talking about already projecting brownouts 2030. We just doubled down.
Right. Yeah, and we get these $7 billion in battery costs because of these new intermittent sources of power, solar and wind. They're trying to buy batteries to make up for the mistake of before. It's just going to cost more, and we're not even sure if that's going to work. We have gone so extreme and so fast in getting rid of our true source of power in the hopes of getting this new green energy. And one, it's not working right. They can't get it on the grid. We're seeing bills double. Watch out. Watch out. When I'm governor, we're going to push back against all that, roll back a lot of these mandates, green energy mandates, make sure that we take care of our base load, make sure that we have energy, so we're not importing it from other states. And 2, do things the right way. If green energy wants to compete one day because it can, because it works and because it's reliable,
Right.
Everybody will want it.
You know,
And it's affordable, and we don't have to subsidize it.
and I got my bill yesterday, $290. You know, I'm just going to write it out for winter, but I'm not happy about it. So once again, what are we going to do? We're going to make the prices go up. That'll make things more affordable. I just, the whole idea that we're doing this and we're doing it right now.
So we need to fight against that, roll back those mandates.
You know, the thing that's a problem, Ted, because you're a numbers guy and you get this in your background in banking, is it's not like we can say, hey, you know, Ted, let's go over and build a power plant.
No.
We start today, 10 years? Maybe
Right, yeah,
12?
it takes, right.
Yeah.
This is why you can't decommission your coal and your natural gas.
The disaster is 4 years away, according to the analysts, and it's going to take us 12 years to fix it, and we're sitting here twiddling or fiddling while Rome burns.
And guess what? We're going to be importing that same energy that we got rid of here. I went down to the Nighthawk coal mine.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was wonderful. Great trip, and I got to talk to a lot of the workers afterwards, and you just, gained a lot of just respect for those men that go down deep in there, work hard, and they come up, and these are men's men, right? And they're working hard. These are jobs. They're jobs. Not only that, they keep people warm, keep them safe. We got to protect all that.
Yeah. We spend a lot of research money on it trying to get that clean, and now we've gotten to cleaner coal and we throw it out the door.
Right.
Now here's something that you wanted to talk about when you talked about it, and I did not have it on my list. Education in Illinois. So I started doing a little looking yesterday. We lowered the standards, so you can't really count apples and oranges now because they're different numbers. We lowered the efficiency. In English, proficiency is 52.4 in Illinois. Math proficiency, 38%, and we're celebrating it.
We're celebrating because we lowered the standards, right? So just lower the hurdle, and then
Well,
I can jump over that.
It's the same thing we do with crime. Hey, we'll do away with crime. It's real easy. We'll decriminalize it. For us, you can't make the grade, we'll just lower it. Now, I've talked to some educators, say this does make us a equal playing ground when compared to the states.
It's not true.
Good. Okay, tell me why.
So, because we have national standards. So ignore comparing state to state, because different states have different standards, so they're hard to compare state standards versus state standards. So take the national standards. It's called National Assessment of Educational Progress, NAEP. Everybody knows it. They call it the nation's report card. So that's the one that matters. And that's the one where only 1/3 of our kids can read a grade level. And that's comparing to all other states. Same testing, same everything.
So why? Because I was thinking about this yesterday, because we know millions of people have left. I assume teachers are some of them. And maybe it's the pay. Maybe it's parents don't get involved. So why are we're just struggling here? Only 52.4% proficient.
And I would not use that number. It's not the right number. It's going to be 1/3, only 1/3 of our kids. And then when you talk about minorities.
Well, if it's 38% math, then it's 1/3, so it's about 18 or 20% proficient in math.
That's correct. That's the national standards. And if you take like black eighth graders, black eighth graders, I think it's going to be about 10% who are proficient in reading. We have a crisis, and you don't fix a problem by lowering standards. You fix the problem by attacking the problem. You raise standards. You create an obsession.
No. You fix the problem by giving them more money.
And give them more money.
$350 million more a year until we reach 1-point-something trillion.
Yeah, it's that all that's failing. We've seen all the schools that have reached their quote standard of money. Many of them are doing worse. Many of them are doing horrifically. Most aren't increasing at all. It's all a facade. They wanted that money and they negotiated that away from Rauner. Rauner made a huge mistake. I'll tell you this, Tom, what we have to do is bring back an obsession for literacy and numeracy. And so what you have to do in the public schools, number one, school choice. These guys have been promising change in our inner city schools for 50 years. Nothing happens except for it gets worse. And we put more money in. Let's have school choice. Like Iowa has it now, universal school choice. Anybody, I don't care what age you are, I don't care what race you are, I don't care what income you are, you can take an $8,000 education savings account and go find your school of your choice. Indiana, $8,000 voucher. If you don't like the public schools, take a voucher and go find the school that you need.
We had some programs like that. They had the chance to renew them and they chose not to.
So this is a huge wave. It's happening in Ohio, Arizona, Florida, huge school choice wave. We went the other way. Pritzker in the legislature killed our only small school choice program, the first state in the country to kill it.
Right.
It's another reason why.
Without going through the required reviews of the effects of it.
And that as well, but they were never going to do that. So it's another disqualifying thing for Pritzker because he doesn't care enough about children to protect something like school choice. But let me say this, our public schools aren't going away. So what we need to do is obsess about phonics, right? Set really high standards. And you know what is important? And Mississippi just did it. Mississippi's getting all the attention, right? Mississippi doesn't spend any money on education, and they're getting all the attention because they're having massive improvements.
It's all right.
You will not go to 4th grade if you can't read in 3rd grade. And that's a great law. And the reason why is not to punish the kid, is to force the unions, the teachers, the parents, volunteers, everybody come together because we're not going to let that kid not read.
Find a way to succeed.
Thank you.
Right?
And that's not a money issue. That's an accountability issue.
All right, here's one that you and I wouldn't have ever talked about had you not run for governor. I'm very curious about your point of view on this. Euthanasia. The governor signed a bill. You can get a chemical drug, take it, and there's no way out. You're going to die now. I don't think the government really has a place here.
Oh man, you talk about a slippery slope, right? You know, if you haven't thought about this issue, you think, oh my gosh, somebody's got terminal cancer. Why make this? It's not that. That's not the discussion. The discussion is when the government starts to allow that. It's going to, with the slippery slope, intrusion. Oh, we don't know where that is. We don't know when insurance companies start making all kinds of calls.
You've become too expensive of a patient and you're not coming out of it. Here's your pill.
Yeah, and you're going to die anyway. Here's your pill, right? And
well, it's already happened in Canada. And we said they started it, and now what do they have? Well, it's a lot less expensive for you to take this pill than it is to treat your kidney disease.
Yeah, and we see where all this insurance costs are going. There's going to be a big battle over this. So this is a very dangerous thing. Don't get in God's way. Let's we have great.
I'm a country boy. It's none of your business.
Yeah, we have great palliative care. All that is like really, really good. Now you can take care of a person as he or she is dying. So,
and I've also seen a lot of things happen in the last day of a person's life that they wouldn't have been able to accomplish otherwise. That time and government interference in it.
Well, not to mention, Tom, there's many people who are told they only have a few months to live, and they end up living 5 years. I mean, there's plenty of cases like that. So, and don't forget.
So glad you said that.
And listen, by the way, Pritzker signed this law without any fanfare. He did it in the quiet of the night or whatever he did, but he didn't celebrate it. People don't like this. It's an extreme thing here.
Gas taxes, state motor fuel taxes. I found my notes here. 48.3% per gallon with a 6.25% sales tax. So this is the way I kind of see this. The president, Donald Trump, is doing everything he can to lower gas prices because lower gas prices are part of every single thing here at the airport. All right, the fuel that goes in these planes. We're just right over there is Ted, you may not know this. That intersection that we're looking at is the single busiest intersection in Southern Illinois, 148 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
You got icing down the road, building cars, gasoline cars, right? Everything. Your food is delivered to the grocery store. Oh, it came, right? It's everything. And what do? We just keep sticking to it. And they did it. My understanding is they have another proposal to increase gas taxes in Illinois because if it's gone down, they think, well, we can make it go up. And now that'll be our money.
Right.
And it should have been the consumer's money.
Yeah, and they forget, that so many people travel. They go through Indiana, they go through Kentucky, Missouri, and
there's this thing called the internet.
Yeah, and the internet, and holy cow! And it drives me crazy because I live in the North Shore of Chicago up there.
So what do you pay for a gallon of gas?
Oh my gosh, I pay so much more. Just leaving there and just coming anywhere this way is already a saving. But all you have to do is travel to Florida, as I do every year with family and all that. You stop in Indiana, you go, holy cow, look how nice this is. And then you keep going south, you go, why do we?
Tennessee, the smoothest damn roads I've ever seen and the lowest gas prices. How can that be?
And they don't have an income tax.
Yeah.
And you're telling me they have paved roads in Tennessee?
Yeah, very nice ones. So, and the sides of the roads are also mowed.
Yeah, right. It just captures the hypocrisy of our government. They keep taxing us and we don't know where the money goes.
And you've got the Trump versus Pritzker fight going on.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about sanctuary status, cities. I'm going to stop sending money. We'll see whether that actually happens or not. But the pettiest is tax on tips.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a break. And the governor says, no, we're going to keep that money.
Yeah. I did a reel on this, so people can see it on Ted for Illinois, at Ted for Illinois in social media. I was driving by Manteno the other day, and Manteno is where the Chinese are building this EV batteries for cars, and this is a Chinese communist-owned company that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted them here. Pritzker was losing all the big deals of manufacturing and all that, places going to Indiana or Georgia or whatever. So he gives $500 million in subsidies to this company. We're like, how does Pritzker, this is a national security issue. People are not happy with all that. He gives them $500 million in subsidies. But then a bill comes along where he could give a break to busboys and waiters and Uber drivers, and he won't give them the break. That's the hypocrisy of the Pritzker administration.
I'm really glad you brought that up. I did not see it that way.
$500 million.
All right. So, we've been friends a long time. So, excuse me for being just a little country boy with you a little bit for a minute. You and I have known each other for a long time. We've sat here and we've isolated a lot of problems, and just a few of them, technically. So you and I can sit here and bitch and complain. How are you going to fix it? What are you going to do about it? That's the question I ask myself. It's why you and I are here today. Just it was a Thursday night. They were at work till 4:30 in the morning in Springfield. And when I got up and I looked at the list of taxes, I said, when I get on the air tomorrow morning, I'm going to, oh, no, you're not. You're retired. So what are you going to do about it? So doing these programs with people like you is what I'm going to do about it. What are you going to do?
All right, so what am I going to do about it? Well, my motivation, my inspiration starts with, both of my parents were immigrants here. My mom came from Ecuador as a young lady, 19-year-old. My dad escaped communist Poland. They both ended up in Illinois.
In Chicago?
In Chicago. They met on the L. They built their American dream. And when they came here, we know what Illinois was like. People were coming from everywhere, right? You had the people coming from the migration from the South. We had people coming from all over the world.
Folks.
Right.
From Bibb County, Alabama.
Is that right?
They come to Illinois because there's jobs and farmland.
Yeah, and then you got the Great Migration, all the blacks that came here. Isabel Wilkerson wrote in her book about how people were hanging, off this, on the top of the trains, on the side of the trains for their dream of working in Chicago.
Right.
And so you could come here and you could, with grit, with faith, and just work ethic, you could make it. Right. And that's how it was. And Illinois' population doubled from 1900 to 1960. It went from 5 million to 10 million. We were a magnet for opportunity. Today, we're not that magnet, but we should be, and we can be. You reeled off all the great assets we have. You reeled them off earlier. We should be an amazing state. And so I want to argue that we got confused by our legislature. We got confused by some of these things they've sold us. And look where we are now, losing people, losing companies. We're the worst credit rating in the country, worst credit score, if you want to call it that. That's not where we need to be. We need to get back to the hope and the prosperity and the beacon that we were just 6 decades ago. It's not like some crazy dream.
All right,
so we have to go to the people. We have to win the people.
Reinstill some level of faith.
Yeah.
Okay.
But win the people, because the people are the ones who vote for these legislators who pass these extreme laws.
I believe there's a cultural momentum that causes people to leave. They become aware of property taxes. I can't tell you how many people, and include them, family members. I got a family member in Texas going, just leave. Just come to Texas. Just get out. Right. Mom's over here. We all have that problem, right? The family and things along that line. But when it comes to being a CEO of a company, you're looking for stuff. Well, the price of energy might be an example. We talked about that earlier, a really good example. Or maybe you're in downstate Illinois and you're thinking, I got to have roads. And you look and say, well, they just changed the formula to 85-15, 85 cents of every dollar goes to Chicago.
Right.
You could go down the insurance. You just keep going. And how are you going to change the perception of a CEO of a Forbes company and say, look, no, really, that was, we're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, so a lot of that has to be culture. It's a cultural change, right? We can't say, oh, we're going to cut the budget by 5% across everything, right? That's that typical old-fashioned way. No, we need to look at things. Should government be involved in that or not? If it shouldn't be, get rid of it. If it should be, invest in it.
What would you get rid of?
I'll start with let's
Pick one.
All right, I'll pick one. Ready? Pensions for legislators. Let's start with a cultural change.
Okay,
Right.
we pinned it this week or the end of last week. Lawmakers' pay went up 4 or 5%. I think
Yeah.
maximum allowed by law is 5%.
Cut their pay in half.
We are
Start
now
with them.
number 2 in the highest paid legislators in the country, right behind, I think, California.
Yep. We're always in that 2 to 4 range. That's the cultural change. We start with them.
Base salary, $98,000.
Right. Cut it in half. Get rid of the DCEO. I just talked about handing out $500 million to.
We're going to put them in charge of a bunch of other new stuff, though, right now. You can't get rid of them, Ted.
All right.
Aren't they going to be, who is it, the ICC or the DCOC that's going to be in charge of setting electric rates?
Right, you're right. You got the new group for that. We can't have government controlling that. And you can't have. I don't want to be a governor picking winners and losers. Why should I take money from all these companies and then hand it over to a company like Goshen? That's not the governor's role, right? The market does that. What I do is keep taxes low for everybody, and that's how you get real economic growth. That's how you attract businesses. I want to tell you, Tom, a story that was told me. Remember Mitch Daniels when he took over as governor? The story is that he saw all those, and this is cultural change. He saw all these state-owned cars in the parking lot. He went and put a penny on the tire of each one, and he came back a week later, and whichever ones hadn't been touched in a week, he sold them all. We have to think differently. We can't keep doing the same old thing.
We're spending more money. What good money after bad?
Yeah.
Hey, a couple of little items here before I let you go. Talk to me a bit more about your endorsements, because got a 4-person race. You've got a lot of experience in this category. How are you going to be able to differentiate yourself? And one of the ways I think you do that is say, these are my teammates when it comes to endorsements. So can you prove me right?
Well, for example, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but David Smith from the Illinois Family Institute, pro-family, great group. He's the leader there.
We didn't even talk about abortions in Illinois. Carbondale last year, 11,000 abortions.
Yeah, we become the murder capital, abortion capital for the Midwest. We've doubled the number of murders.
I think the published article said that most of those people that came weren't even from Illinois.
And many of them are coming from outside. We've doubled the number of abortions in Illinois. We allowed third trimester abortions. We allow state-funded abortions. We've blocked parental control, parental notice. This is crazy stuff. We need to just get back to normal. We got to get back to respecting the sanctity of life, and we're in extreme state for that.
Who else endorsements?
Okay, so David Smith, he was with Bailey, now with us. Dick Uline, I mentioned, the most conservative donor, gave $50 million to Darren Bailey last time, now with us. So that's a big thing. I just got
Sheriff Association. Did you get them? Safety Act, law enforcement.
Some of them haven't announced yet.
Yeah.
I think the big one I got, I had about 15 state and local officials in Peoria the other day, ranging from all the way from Iowa to Indiana and from Chicago down 80 miles south of Decatur. They all endorsed me one by one. And there's about 20 on the list, which is great. State senators, legislators, mayors. Then, of course, the big one, I really was happy. Northwest suburbs, there were 9 townships have a big get-together. I won that straw poll there.
Oh, good.
55 to 35. So I won that straw poll. I just got the Wheeling Township, 97% of their precinct captains endorsed me.
Nobody gets 97% anything.
It's amazing. In Peoria County, I just got they need a 2/3 threshold to endorse somebody. Peoria County just endorsed me. So up there, down here, I'm just building it up.
All right, so you got to differentiate yourself between these 3 opponents that you have. How are you going to do that?
Well, so I supported Darren Bailey strongly last time. He was my candidate. Unfortunately, he lost by 12 to 13 points overall.
But as I was telling you before this interview started, and I was doing the research, that J.B. Pritzker won the state of Illinois. We all know this in the last election, but he lost 5 counties he did not win in that he did win the first time he ran. I think that's telling.
Yeah, I think Pritzker's vulnerable, but just to finish on Bailey, he lost by 35 points in Cook County, the suburbs. He just did not appeal up there. So it's one of the reasons I ran, is that he can't win. And, he's
more specifically, he can't win Chicago and the Collar counties.
Right, and which means he can't win again. And he also, lost when he lost to Mike Bost. He couldn't win.
But Chicago's level of disenfranchisement with the Democratic Party has never been higher than it is right now.
I think you're right, which is why now I'm from Cook County. My running mate's from Cook County. She's an ER doctor.
Dr. Carrie Mendoza.
Very principled, conservative. But, we're both from there. I think we have a greater appeal up there than Darren does. He's hooked up with Aaron Del Mar, but Aaron, who ran with Rabine last time, they only got 6% of the vote in the primary. So he didn't have any appeal up there either. So I think they're in trouble because they just can't get the appeal, and they're not raising money, and they don't have the ability to win up there. Heidner is the interesting person because Heidner came out of nowhere. Nobody knows who he is. He owns a lot of the casino.
I didn't know. The only way I learned about him was because I saw him on a digital commercial on streaming content. I felt really bad not knowing. I thought there were 3 candidates. I'm supposed to know this stuff.
Well,
where did he come from?
Well, he's never been in policy. He's never been in politics. He's the one that owns a bunch of, video gaming halls, right? They're dotting the landscape. So he relies on an economy, which I don't think is the right economy for Illinois. All these one-armed bandit things everywhere is
you got a lifespan. If you don't believe it, ask Vegas.
Well, in working class are the people that those businesses prey on. Anyway, the interesting thing about Heidner that people don't know is that he's given money to Brandon Johnson. He's given money to Tony Preckwinkle. He gave $25,000 to Brandon Johnson. He's given money to Don Harmon. He gave money to Kim Foxx. Now, if you know anything about anything,
anti-crime district attorney, state's attorney.
Anything about Chicago, if you care anything about police, if you care anything about victims, the last person you would ever give money to is Kim Foxx. So I pointed that out in a debate we had recently, and he apologized for giving money to Kim Foxx. And that's fine that he apologizes, but it's a disqualifier. You don't give money to Kim Foxx and say you care about the police. You don't give money to Kim Foxx and say you care about Chicago, or you're entirely naive about things, or you're a deal maker. And we've had enough deal makers. When you give money to Brandon Johnson, you're doing deals.
Deal maker has a whole different connotation in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, and if you're a conservative primary voter, can you go with somebody who gave money to Kim Foxx? And if it was just one time, but there's Brandon Johnson and Tony Preckwinkle and so on, and the list is long. So Heidner has a lot of explaining to do, but I don't think you can't explain it because either you were naive and gave her money, or you were working out. You were a player. And in my opinion, we don't need more players in government in Illinois. We need people who care about the facts, who are principled, and who will do the right things.
All right, so imagine this. The average taxpayer in the state of Illinois is dog paddling along the coast in Florida. He's just keeping his nose above water every day. Here's gas tax. Property tax going up. And then you look in the distance and you see there's a wave, a tsunami that's coming, but I'm already dog paddling. The tsunami I see, maybe it's progressive tax. The governor's going back to that. Everybody around us talking about flat and cutting. We're talking about jacking it up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm dog paddling. And then just my nose just above the water. Everybody's had to do it at one point when they were a kid. And you see the tsunami. Tsunamis represents a lot of different things. Depends on what your business is. Why should I stay in Illinois? The final comment, Ted Dabrowski, Republican candidate for governor state of Illinois in the upcoming primary, talk me into staying in the state of Illinois when I see the wave.
Don't let them chase you away. Join me in the fight to keep our state, to take back our state, because we can. Pritzker is extreme. The legislature is extreme. We all know it. I think there's now enough people, Democrats, independents. We just talked about the black community in Chicago. There's moms who don't like seeing their rights being taken away from over their children. I think there's a bunch of Latinos who said, hey, Trump is better than Democrats. I know ICE is an issue today, but that's a longer discussion. I think there's enough disenfranchised Illinoisans who will join us here in Southern Illinois, who will join us in Central Illinois, who will join those in the suburbs. We can put together a coalition, and it's a new coalition. It's a coalition that I think I can only bring. I mentioned I'm half Polish, half Hispanic. I will go and work with the ethnic groups in Chicago. I will go speak, and I am doing it. I'm speaking to the Spanish churches. I'm the one that can put together that coalition with reason, with logic, with data, with persuasion. Let's get together and put that, and let's take Pritzker out of office. None of my competitors can do that.
Ted Dabrowski, he's been our guest today. He's one of 4 candidates. And of course, the election early voting starts February 5.
That's right.
So coming right up, and he's decided that he wants to take on the wealthiest elected official in the Northern Hemisphere.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Oh, no, you're kidding. I love people like you say, I don't care how big you are. Let's go.
Why are we going to give in? Don't let them do that to us. Don't let them chase us out of our own state. People have been here for a long time. You don't let them chase you out. You fight back, and we just get the backbone. We unite. We can do it, Tom.
All right. Now, here's the thing. You can watch this interview on our Facebook page, on our website, on YouTube. And, of course, we're always open for questions at ask@integritypointmedia.com. I really want to thank Ted Duke, because I know you went way out of your way to come here and meet with us at the Veterans Airport.
I love being down here. It's great. And I'm glad to see Marion doing growth. And you have a good story down here.
Really does.
TedForIllinois.com is where you find us, and at TedForIllinois for all the social media.
All right. And thanks. And we'll see you again soon.